excessively, urinate excessively. He was fatigued and refused to eat. So I brought him to the vet, and it turned out that he was in diabetic ketoacidosis, which, like in humans, is a critical condition where you are very dehydrated and you have ketones spilling into your urine. Your urine pH is out of balance, your electrolytes are out of balance. So Frankie did need IV fluids to replenish his hydration and kick these ketones out. So he was in the animal hospital for 4 days, and when he came home, he was prescribed insulin. So these are some ketone test strips that I got at the store, the pharmacy. You just dip them into a sample and it'll let you know negative, trace, and then some amounts based on what color it turns. And I check Frankie periodically for ketones to make sure he's still on track and he's not relapsing. So I'll just show you very briefly what they look like. Just individual test strips that look like that. And that should change color based on your ketone status. I shouldn't keep this open for too long. And it's a 15-second test. So you dip, you wait 15 seconds, and you get your result. So I have 2 insulins to show you. This first one I do not use. This is Vetsolin, and it is a porcine insulin zinc suspension, so it's from pigs. This is pig insulin. And don't worry, I know that you're supposed to refrigerate insulin, but it'll be just fine for an hour or so. So, the reason I don't use this insulin, this was the first insulin that was prescribed to Frankie. Well, A, is because I wasn't used to it. And B, it is an intermediate acting insulin, which means that it hits you a lot faster and lasts for a shorter amount of time, which is not really ideal, at least in my mind, for a 12-hour cycle if I'm just going to dose him once in the morning, once in the evening. I'd rather have something that covers them for a little bit longer. So I'll show you the vial. You can see that it kind of, well, not anymore, it got a little shaken up already, but it's a suspension and it'll actually settle. of the reasons why I wanted to switch him to this. Also because it is a long-acting insulin and I had experience with it already. A lot of sample. So it makes it a little easier on me. But I'll show you what that looks like. Not the sample process, I'll just show you the test strips so you can see what I mean. This is the